Practice Makes Perfect by Swami Sham. 1. Try to understand the space or meaning indicated by the words pure, free, forever. Pure should be that which is a kind of free space or free knowledge, free from time and place, and impure should be that which is limited by time, place, or form. If a human being entertains a belief that that which is pure and free is a form, limited by time and space, then that sense of belief is called ego, ahankar, an unreal sense, illusory sense, or mind sense. Take, for example, the water in the ocean. When a wave arises, its rise and fall is seen as a form, limited by time and space, as if the water is divided into two. One is a sense of rising and another is falling. If one sees the water alone throughout, then this sense is egoless, nirahankar, pure, free, and forever the same. But if the same sense, pure, free, forever, has changed into the sense of rising and falling wave, other than the water, then this sense has become crystallized, and it will become matured in seeing the appearance and disappearance of a form. And this appearance and disappearance of form will be known by that person as true, changing forever. This can be understood by the human intelligence easily, and he will come to know, no, I never see water as something other than water, when the rise and fall of the water makes it a wave. Someone other than me will call it separate. So this example is not applicable to my sense of oneness, with which I know the water as one and the same in all its changes. But now the human form is taken into consideration. It is seen and known as a form in time and space, but that which is formless, pure, free, forever, is not seen and known, because for that a human being has to take the help of some human being who is realized, or has seen and known perfectly well that this formless, pure, free, forever infinite being, the space of knowingness existence, is the real space or oneness forever. Whether a child is born, is big or small, moves or sits, thinks or does not think, speaks or does not speak, that is forever the same pure being. It is not become other than pure just because the rise of the form or the fall of the form appears to be something other than pure to the eyes of a human being. The human being who sees the rise and fall of the space as a form other than pure space is said to have become the victim of illusory belief, or the illusory sense or illusion, which has made the human being divide purity into form, covered or limited by time and space. But the one who sees and realizes the pure, free, forever, as oneness eternal, is the one who has the real knowledge of the form in time and space, which is pure, free, forever. Such a person is helpful. Yet the human being whose vision sees form in time and space cannot fully grasp or realize the truth spoken by the realized one, because to his eyes pure is unseen, unknown, and totally opposite to what he sees and knows, the form, as a reality, with which he can deal practically. The result will always be that when forms are not, or action is not, or life is not, such a person will be hopeless, disappointed, even worried and frightened. And one day he will not be able to avoid the idea of death, because he sees the form born as a true form, and does not realize the formless, pure being, free forever. Amaram Madaram Hum. 2. There is no difficulty for me, the self. The self is knowingness. When knowingness turns into a form, and if that form gets absorbed or disappears, then knowingness, or the self, has not to know, am I knowingness, the self? When the same knowingness turns into a form, such as a light form of knowingness, it can be described that the form of a human being or the form of written words that has come out of knowingness is other than the light, knowingness, or the self. Who is describing this? A person in the waking state, such as me, Swami Sham. I am seeing knowingness as a state of formless being, And out of that a form is appearing, and knowingness is becoming knower, seer, or drishta. It begins to see itself, the knowingness, as form, just as all of you human beings see with your eyes the form of a person. When a thought about someone or even a bird arises in that person, he becomes the drishta, or knower, and the image of the person or bird becomes the seen, which appears to be other than the knower being. In this way the self, who is formless, without name and form, appears to manifest a conscious power out of itself, known by itself as the seen object, and the self assumes to be the seer, or drishta. Thus, in the existence of all sentient beings, the one who has eyes knows himself as the seer, and the forms, objects, or sounds are known as the scenes. On the level of the manifest form, a conscious human being, who is made as an objective form, a body, there is the sense of becoming always a seer, with his own body or mind as an objective form or of existence, as if separate from the seer. I have no example that you will understand regarding how light, by itself, turns into form and knows itself as a form, and when it withdraws the form is absorbed in the same light, which is knowingness. But you do not see this formation with your eyes, and I am just like you. I have the same type of eyes that you have, with which I see forms exactly as you see them. When you close your eyes, you see space, and in it you don't see that the sun is coming, a person is coming, the sun is going back and getting absorbed, and the person is going back, getting absorbed, and becoming light. When you close your eyes, it is as if you see only dark space. When I close my eyes, I don't see dark space, because to my closed eyes the seer, with seeing eyes, appears as knowingness. At the same time it appears as light forms, and as forms of birds, animals, or human beings, with varieties of faces and features, with eyes and ears, with mustaches and no mustaches, with full, beautiful faces and half-distorted faces. And I see them daily, and the same knowingness is known by me as myself, the I, and myself, the form. There is no time, no space. It is the same knowingness, which is vision, light, forms appearing and disappearing, or turning into light, and light getting absorbed in knowingness, which you also see with closed eyes. You do not realize that my knowingness with closed eyes, and your knowingness with closed eyes, is the source of white light, where there is no sun. It is the source of the sun and the source of all forms. When forms are absorbed, light is absorbed, and does not remain white light. Then it is knowingness, the self, of which I am convinced, because I have seen it, I have known it, and I have seen it disappearing. I have seen it not as knowingness, but as the very seeing or knowing. This knowingness is without any appearance of form that you see with closed eyes and call darkness, but I call it the source, or truth, of all the forms that are there in varieties, of all actions in varieties, of vision, audition, and sound in varieties. This is knowingness, which you say is not a form because you do not see it with closed eyes. When I see with open eyes, I see all knowingness. Forms, no forms, sound, no sound, appearing, disappearing. I know it is knowingness, me, the self, the I, which is the source substance, indivisible space, Akash, Chidakash, Chinmatra, or Anand. You know the words and I know the words, but you see the objective forms, so the division of subject you are and objects there are remains with you as the I sense. For me, the same knowingness is subject, knower knowingness, objects knowingness. All is knowingness. It appears to you that I am convinced of one being, even while you think you are someone as a form other than my form. But I am communicating to you that it is not a matter of being convinced. Rather, it is the truth or realization of the self, or truth. Since it has no description, I always take the chance to describe it, that all the forms are pure light, and pure light is all the forms, so that you may unfold the power, as the knower, to know that the knower alone is. then it will be said that you too are convinced of the knower, or oneness. But again, you will not be able to describe in words what the knower is. Whenever you will take the chance to describe the existence of knower, or oneness, even developed human listeners will conclude that it is the mind. When you realize that the knower alone is, the self alone is, then the knower, or self, will have no difficulty knowing itself as the knower, just as fire or light has no difficulty knowing itself. For you, this seeing or realizing vision is hidden or obscured, while for me, knowingness is the only knowingness self. So I say the self alone is, knowingness alone is. You say the dream state is one consciousness, deep sleep is another, waking state is another, and illusion is yet another consciousness. You say doubt is another consciousness, excitement is another, and the sense of my form and your form is still another type of consciousness. You are always making efforts, with eyes open or closed, to know the knowingness substance, which is all that there is and which is not all that there is, and knowingness knows this. Knowingness itself has manifested forms in varieties, as the drops coming from a cloud turn into snowflakes but are all knowingness. Knowingness is sky, knowingness is air, knowingness is fire or light, knowingness is water, and knowingness is earth. Knowingness is all kinds of manifestation, and knowingness is withdrawing the manifestation. And knowingness always knows that the manifestation is knowingness, and the withdrawal of the manifestation is knowingness. Open your eyes or close your eyes. Objects are known to you, your body is known to you, but knowingness, out of which your body and objects arise, is knowingness. I know this, but for you, subject you are, and objects you see. You know that seeing is there, knowing is there, but you don't see the seeing and don't see the knowingness, whereas I see the seeing, vision, knowingness, sight, or complete silence, totally without any manifestation, which I call silence still. When manifestation is withdrawn, I still know the silence, or no sound, no form, and no name. Yet the same no form and no name manifests form, manifests name, and manifests understanding. It manifests the whole human being, withdraws all human beings, and manifests again and again, without any reason and without any cause. Knowingness knows that there is no cause and effect, unmanifest or manifest. Knowingness is that, and that alone is. Amaram Ham, Majaram Ham. 3. The knower, when unfolded, knows the pure space, or the manifest and unmanifest, as the same. When you close your eyes, you see yourself, whom you daily call I, in your speech or talk when you express, I am the one who woke up, and that was I even in deep sleep. While seeing with open eyes, you know the forms, with the mind sense of knowing, the knowledge of the forms. But the sense mind does not see the pure form of I, which is there when the eyes are closed, and your pure form is space, without things and names or forms and sounds, is seen and known as the pure space I. Then all your senses are not functioning, and the knower is knowing the knower self, pure I. You should realize this as the knower am I, forever this formless I space, which is invisible when the eyes are open and visible when they are closed. This visibility is the knower, who himself is seeing and is knowing himself, without entering into the forms and names or the mind and senses. But as soon as the eyes are open, the knower has not to see himself. Rather, through the mind, senses, and the sense instruments, the eyes and ears, the knower sees and hears forms but remains forever the same. This is because mind, eyes, ears, senses, and organs, all is the knower. When the eyes and senses are closed, all the senses as instruments are speaking or telling you, the I, or knower, that you are this pure space. And when the eyes and senses are open, Guruji says that you should not forget yourself and become ignorant of yourself as the knower, just because the instruments are open and begin to function. You are the whole, Guruji says, and you should not treat it that you are lost to yourself when the functioning of the senses starts. If you are not able to listen to what Guruji says, you will use your inborn forgetfulness, a non-existing temporary parasite. So remember the words of Guruji and practice. I, the knower, am the whole of my body, and I, the knower existence, am the existence of all bodies in the world. When the senses are open and functioning, I should not forget or be under the influence of the ego sense, the cover of the senses, and begin to say that I die or get destroyed or am not there. Rather, I should practice that I am such an exclusive reality, the true self-existing self, that I am the whole. I do not get caught by or attached to the ignorance that I am only a body with senses and their objects, and that I see these sense objects in the world somewhere as separate from my body and all bodies and separate from the visible world. Daily I should practice that I am the whole, but I can know the whole of it only when my eyes are closed and my senses are not functioning. At that time, this pure existence, the self, is felt and known as if self-existence or purity is nothing or is a darkness of the space. Guruji says that it is pure, it is free from bondage or the influence of the senses, and it is ever the same, indivisible oneness as a whole. It is Sham space, the source of all colors and forms, the source of time and space. Sham is pure attraction, pure love, and pure knowledge. It is you, I, he, and she, the source of all bodies, senses, actions, and emotions. It is existence as a whole. Its nature is known as unborn, unchanging, unbecoming, free from objects, inner instruments, and the thinking mind. Yet, when the eyes are open, it is known as the whole world with action. In a human being, it is known as deep sleep, the dreamer, and dream forms as a whole, as well as the wakeful eye and the world as a whole that appears before this eye. Only when you close the eyes is it possible to realize this space as pure, free, eternal, and forever the same. The very closing of the eyes gradually reduces the sense of ignorance of the self, and enfolds the sense or knowledge of the self by itself. Having realized oneness with the whole, one is said to have fulfilled the purpose of his human life, which is meant for realizing one's own true nature, the knower self, pure, free, forever. Amaram Hum, Madhuram Hum.